Hello, and welcome to Character Class. Today, today I'd like to take a closer look at entropy. Because we covered correspondence already, I thought we'd jump in this week and do another one. Take a look at entropy, the sphere of fate, of fortune, of chance and probability. Um, as always, we're going to just cover the five first dots in it. I'm not delving into archmagedom. That's not going to happen. Uh, so, as always, as I said, the first sphere in pretty much any of the spheres tends to be around sensory magic. And it's no different here. The first dot in entropy is sense, fate, and fortune. The rudimentary ability to sense entropy allows a mage to discern the current of destiny. Can look into waves of probability, see places where chance has been altered or nudged, notice nexuses of unlikely events, and sense the weakness of objects. Because entropy is also about decay. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Combined with pattern spheres, the mage can look for weaknesses in a pattern or see where it will fracture naturally. The mage can also determine if a particular object or creature is lucky. Correspondence with entropy lets the mage find a place where an unusual event may happen, and time can let the mage isolate exactly when a manifestation of destiny will appear. This is the merging of spheres together that happens. The entropy effects that they give they basically provide a couple of examples of spells. This is by no means all you can do with entropy, but they've got locate, disorder, and weakness. You use your entropy senses. You can locate areas of chaos, disorder, decay. You can basically look at a door or the wall of a building and determine a weak spot where a well-timed amount of force could make that wall come down, or a weak spot in the door where you kick it and you'd be able to get in. You can look at more complex machinery and determine weak spots in that as well. There is Ring of Truth, which lets you determine the basically the veracity of a statement, the truth of something that somebody says to you. But there's weaknesses with that spell because it has to be of relevance to the subject or to the caster of the magic. Whether or not you use the currents of destiny and whatnot to determine whether or not what somebody's telling you is true or not. So it's kind of interesting that you can do that. There is the second sphere in entropy, which gets a little bit more complicated. Control probability. After determining the threads of the tapestry is one one term that the book uses to describe reality, and how they pull on one another, the mage can subtly tug at fate's loom. Although this doesn't necessarily change patterns directly, it does let the mage alter probability just enough to influence the direction in which the tapestry unfolds. Fun times there. You can grab the gross threads of probability where they collect, alter them to suit whims. Spotting random occurrences can distinguish predetermined or set patterns from totally chaotic ones. And in conjunction with pattern spheres, the mage can sometimes determine how multiple objects, creatures, or forces will interact with one another, and which ones will meet. Interesting. So the two examples they have here for the spheres is beginner's luck, which is there is a statistical possibility that any random attempt to do anything will actually succeed. You can get a hole-in-one the first time you pick up a golf club or hit the bullseye at a rifle range on the first try. The trouble is doing it the second time, as the chance gets exceedingly improbable. One lucky shot's in the realm of possibility, but 5 holes in one from a rank amateur is beyond belief. And that's where a lot of the fun comes in with Mage and Paradox. This spell is one of the ones that really highlights it. Because yes, you could use beginner's luck. You get your successes and you're able to do something amazing on your first try. But if you keep using it to keep doing the same sort of thing, it gets harder and harder because it gets more and more unbelievable. And that is where paradox comes in. I should do an episode on paradox one day where I talk about it in greater detail in the future. In the future. Um, but yes, if you're pushing against what is readily believable, it will get hard to the point where you simply can't do it, and trying will net you big trouble. The other one is games of luck. By controlling localized probability, the mage can influence the outcome of nearly any game of chance. He can tell which horse will come in, who will get the winning poker hand, how the dice will fall. As with all effects of this sort, the mage's successes get increasingly improbable as they continue. At low levels of success, the mage might influence the events but not completely get the desired result. At high levels, the mage can exert a fine but not exact or total control over the outcome of such random games, which is quite good if you need to get money as an entropy mage. But that's not all you can do. With pattern, with probability, when you're manipulating and controlling it, you can control and manipulate probability in just about anything. Anything that can be considered to have some element of random chance. Like, for example, you could cast a spell, manipulate probability, and before you leave your house, and you're like, I'm going to manipulate probability that there will be a higher chance that I will run into somebody who can help me. And you could go out and go about your daily routine and quite by coincidence bump into somebody who is an old friend of yours who might be able to help you in the problem that you're facing. You can manipulate probability in that regard. You can you could actually manipulate probability so that when you cause a disturbance, like a bar fight, for example, you can manipulate the probability so that you cause a bar fight. The fight progresses in such a way that it ends up bumping into somebody who ends up dropping their phone at the same time that you are thrown to the ground and are able to palm that phone and pocket it without anyone being the wiser, because you've worked out the probability of such a thing. That might be a higher level sphere, but this is the sort of thing you can do. You can tweak and tug and pull at the strings. Number 3, our third level of sphere, is affect predictable patterns. The more predictable a pattern, the more easily a mage can determine how it functions and how it breaks. Finally able to touch other patterns with entropic control directly, the mage can cause chaos in static patterns or arrest the onset of decay. At this level, the mage can only affect set predictable patterns such as matter and forces. So anything that would be considered matter or energy, forces. Since the mage can alter set patterns, he can cause machines and systems to break down or prevent such damage, cause a device to fail, suffer a quirky malfunction, or to continue working long after it should have given out. Such blessings and curses do eventually wear off, and entropy often catches up in the end, but they can be a boon in the interim. We've got like clockwork is the 3-dot, one of the 3-dot spells that they give an example of. Patterns that rely on precision can be improved and shielded with this effect. So basically, by insulating a pattern against the forces of entropy, a device can not only be protected from decay and rust, but made to run perfectly for years, never failing, and never allowing errors to creep in. Obviously, time catches up with all things, so this effect can't be made permanent. However, it can stretch the life and accuracy of all sorts of machines if it's maintained regularly, especially clocks, computers, and other precision devices. The technocracy uses this effect extensively, simply through regular maintenance of its machinery. There's also Slay Machine. Just as you can protect it, you can also use chaos to accelerate the process of decay in a system or a computer or a machine. You can cause it to break down and do all kinds of interesting stuff like that. There is, I believe, a third level as well. third level spell the technocracy uses where they can, through drilling, uh, basically you drill and practice a particular set of um, actions, like, for example, raiding into a warehouse. Uh, there's a specific protocol that's in effect for how you do that. You go, you check your corners, all this and that, how you breach a fortified defense. You can use level 3 entropy to enhance that so that everything does go off like clockwork, because the pattern is there. So you can bolster it so you get more successes in ensuring things flow smoothly in your plan. So that's kind of neat. Number 4, the fourth level of entropy is affect life, because where before you could affect matter and forces, now you can affect life itself, which can let you bestow blessings or curses on living beings, on their bloodlines, and you can heal, mutate individual people, and all kinds of stuff, because you're learning how living patterns grow, change, and adapt because of their constant motion. They're unpredictable, difficult to read. However, the adaptive entropy, which is level 4, has reached a level where they can finally sort out such massively complex developments and make a good guess. So yeah, that one has Blight of Aging. Infusing a life pattern with excess entropy can have all manner of negative effects, primarily by accelerating the process of decrepitude. So you can literally just sink entropy into a living pattern and watch as it gets prematurely older because of all that entropy breaking them down. System failures of their lungs, their heart, and all that good stuff. A significantly strong curse can reduce the creature to a decaying corpse in a matter of days. More subtle curses may cause the victim to suffer a relapse of an old wound, onset of a nasty disease, or slow slide into a coma. Yeah, really, really nasty stuff. The mage doesn't choose the result. Instead, she simply levies the curse and watches as the individual suffers the result. Medical attention might slow it, but normal science can do nothing to prevent the deterioration. Then there's Midwife's Blessing, which is the opposite of that, where you can literally bless a child to have, strong, healthy, and good luck. It says that you can't really pick and choose what happens to the particular child, but you can generally make it a good time for that child growing up. The affect life sphere. There's a lot of stuff you can do with entropy in that. Not just a simple, I give you a whole bunch of entropy, or I protect your system from decay. There's more that you can do with that. You need to really get your creative juices flowing with that, because you can, with entropy, you can go in and pick a specific organ if you want to bolster or change. You can use it to give them a bad luck curse, so that whenever a person is going to do something, they have a greater chance of messing up. There's a greater chance of them rolling poorly in the game. So it basically adds on failures or botches, perhaps, to the rolls as a game mechanic term. But you can do that stuff. You can guard against that stuff with life. I mean, with entropy and such. There's a lot that can be done. It's hard to think of all the different things you can do. Number 5, our fifth sphere, we have affect thought. Just as the physical patterns of subjects change, so too are the vagaries of thought, space, and time itself. The master of entropy learns to impact the very changes of universal concepts. At this level, the mage can influence the interaction of many other spheres of magic. Though the mage might not have extensive knowledge, she can still do it. The master can see and affect all of these changes Yeah, time, ideas, change. So it can affect, you can create memes, intellectual ideas that spread like wildfire with entropy because the thought is tweaked to be so naturally attractive to the minds of people that it spreads. Because we've got Binding Oath is a level 5 sphere, a level 5 spell. The most powerful fate magicians can call destiny itself to witness the oaths and pacts that they oversee. The skein of fate takes charge of the subject and marks him. Such an oath can bring the weight of fortune to bear on any who break it. Even without additional compulsions or binding, the oath has power simply due to the weight of destiny. So you can literally lay a binding oath on yourself, on other willing subjects, or on unwilling subjects, which is where the term geas comes in. But unwilling subjects are difficult to do because they're unwilling. So you can do some interesting stuff with that, with Binding Oath. There's also Mutate Ephemera is another one. The vagaries of chance can take effect even on time, space, and thought. Masters of Entropy can pull on these threads as well. Most often this effect is used in conjunction with constructs of thought and mind. Without even using the mind sphere, the master can cause someone's mind to wander, lead her down a new chain of thought with a few well-placed words, or change her mind about something with a simple warning. The Master of Entropy can also reweave destiny to take note of someone, or to ensure that a particular place or time will be a conjunction of great import. As with other manifestations of entropy, the magician is not guaranteed of the final outcome, but he can make certain that something comes to pass, for good or for ill as he determines. A simple bending of ephemeral chance can cause someone to change his mind about a whim or a thought, or it might lead him to a new conclusion. Actually shifting someone's weight of destiny, or placing a powerful curse or blessing, making a cryptic prophetic pronouncement, or designating an area as a center of unusual happenstance is much more difficult. Placing a bond of fate over an area for a large span of time requires the mage to address the difficulty of that distance or duration. There's all kinds of things. Because with level 5, Mutate Ephemera, as that spell says, you can do things with space, with time. You can pick an area and make it be a place where good things happen, or where bad things happen, or where a big good thing will happen or bad thing. You can pick a time that something will happen. That's why in certain places, like October 31st, for example, is a conjunction. It is a date where the massive belief of the world causes the boundary of the spirit world to weaken, to allow spirits to cross back and forth. This is because of the weight of centuries of this belief being ingrained into the world at large. It's something that fate has picked up and carried along. And with level 5 in fate, you can create something like that. You can create thoughts. You can cause people to change their mind when they wouldn't normally. All kinds of fun stuff that can be done with the entropy sphere. So yeah, there's a lot that you can do with entropy, because entropy is all about chance and fate. And if you can think of ways to manipulate chance and probability, or fate and destiny, there's a good chance that you can definitely cause things to happen. You can tweak and twist and make things happen to your will and not other people's, and that is where the fun really is. So yeah, I'm going to leave this episode here, however. So thank you all so much for watching. As always, if you like what I'm doing, please give that like button a tap. Give that subscribe button a tap as well if you haven't already, so you can be kept apprised of when I do new videos. And throw a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think of entropy as a sphere. Let me know what you think of this particular little... It's not like super in-depth what I'm doing here. It's just a closer look at the entropy sphere to kind of give you a nice overview of the things that you can sort of do with it. As always, any things that you can do with Mage, it's really only limited to two things. One being your imagination as a player, and two being the ruling of your storyteller. Because if your storyteller says, yes, you can do that, then yeah, you can do that. Mage is very open-ended with magic in that regard. It's all up to the storyteller and the players. So yeah, throw those comments in the comment section. Do the liking and subscribing and all that. And until next time, my friends, I'll see you around. You all take care and keep playing.